Welcome to the business of being healthy, where we are passionate about treating our health as good as we treat our wealth. Shelly Bryan here, and I am obsessed with sharing real life experiences and wisdom to help save you time, heartache, and money as you continue to grow personally and professionally. Twice a week, we push aside that BS to take massive intentional action. And I promise by tuning in, you will receive the straightforward talk you've been waiting for, filled with actionable steps that will inspire you to achieve the health and wealth you desire while you are building your empire. Welcome back to a fun episode today. I think you guys are really going to like this one here on the Business of Being Healthy show. And I just, before I dive into this is going to be a juicy one, guys. And before I dive in, I just want to say thank you. If you are new, welcome here to our community where we talk all things business and health and the collaboration and the correlation between the two, but it's like real raw. So today you're going to get a little bit of that here. So I welcome you either back or welcome you to the community. If you have found this by a friend, I would ask, my only ask is that you share this out. So whether you leave a review and rate it, that absolutely helps you guys get this message to more people, and or send it to a friend. It doesn't even have to be public. Send it private DM. I would love that. So first off, thank you for that. But let's dive in here because I want to bring you back. If you've been here with the show for a while, I share about a pretty bad place that I was in back in January of 2020. You know, in November of 2019, I had to close down a restaurant. I lost $1 million, literally. And I was in a really bad place. There was a lot behind this story, but I just kind of want to pull one thing today that has really changed the trajectory from me being in one of my lowest points to now. I don't want to say this is my highest, but I feel pretty freaking good right now. And my mindset is in a completely different frame to accept more and accept new as I am growing. And as Chris and I are growing our construction company in all things, business and health, family, relationship, leadership. But I was in that really bad place and I was lost. Literally, like looking back, I can truly say I was depressed. I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I literally would just kind of like mope around. And I'd never been there before. So it was very, I'd had lots of losses and lots of failures, but this one took the cake. And I don't know what, but one day I saw this Kindle. And side story, this Kindle I actually had in our restaurant, and it was what we used to play the music through Spotify. Okay. So like, just really funny how this all came about. But I saw the Kindle and I was like, well, why don't I actually use a Kindle for what it's for typically, which is reading. And so I signed up for this, like, $9.99 a month, blah, blah, blah. And I found this book and it was called Millionaire Morning by Hal Elrod. And I can tell you that this book literally changed my life, literally. And I'm going to get into more of that here in a second. But I recommend it for anybody that is kind of in that loss, don't know what step to take. It's not about creating this rigid morning. I love morning routines. Definitely follow me on social media. You can see parts of mine that I share, or a lot of mine, but it gives direction. And Hal does such a great job. It was a short book too, for someone that wasn't a reader back then. This was like, oh, I can read this one because it's very easy for me to do. But more importantly, it changed me because I saw for the first time the power of not only reading, but actually taking action on what I learned. And I think that's a very important distinction that I definitely want to make here today, is that I gave myself proof. If I followed kind of this method from this person, made it my own, took the action, I saw a result. I saw a change in myself. And so that's what I'm sharing today, because I've read so many books since then. But today I want to share 6 books that this year, 2023, that I have read. A couple of them are rereads, but that I have read that have been incredibly powerful tools for me as we are building our business, as I am growing this podcast, as I am evolving as a leader, as a mom, as a business owner, all of these different things. And so before I list these 6 books and kind of give who it's for, what I took from it, I encourage you to stick around to the end because I'm going to share 2 tips that I have actually never shared with anybody when it comes to reading. So let's dive in to the first book. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm actually going to show you the book. So definitely come over there. But the first one is $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. So if you don't follow Alex, I highly recommend his perspective and the way that he speaks is why I purchased this book. So I found him on social media. I started listening to his podcast. He is all things business and gives it away all free. He is not about the courses or anything. He is building something much bigger. But what is very interesting about him is his background, is that he has lost it all and rebuilt it many times. And he literally tells you the step by step. If you pay attention and if you listen back to some of his old stuff, so great. But this book specifically, I love because I love selling. If you know my background, I love selling, but there are 2 sides to it. It's creating the offer and it's the skill to sell. It's not either or, it's got to be both. And so Alex breaks down his methods in a clear format, and it's applicable to anything, service, online, product, brick and mortar, whatever it is. I've used some of the frameworks even as we are growing our construction company. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for that. But this book is for any business owner or someone who is looking to start a business in a way to gain more prospects who buy at higher prices while reducing their ad spend. Okay. So I highly recommend that book. The next book I'm going to share is B. This is B by Jessica Zwig. And this one I loved because I first found Jessica on Instagram and I loved her perspective on personal branding. So I grabbed her book and it has been incredibly straightforward. It's a play-by-play tool for creating your personal brand and or your business brand. Now, personal brand may come easy to most people. For me, personal brand was hard. Business brand, got it. I could create that. I built it before, got it. It was that personal brand. And so she gave that play by play for me to gain clarity. And so this book, again, is for entrepreneurs, influencers who want to gain clarity on their brand, which ultimately, if you do it right, will drive who you do business with. So make sure that you are actually following along with me on my LinkedIn, my Instagram, or my YouTube, because you're going to see what I learned in this book put into action. So definitely recommend that one. The next one, this is a reread for me. So this is called The Magic of Believing. If you're on YouTube, you can even see my Post-its in there. The Magic of Believing. This was written by Claude Bristol in 1948. This is an old book. I love old books, old business books. There's so much freaking gold in old books. So I first read this book in February 2020. Think about what happened the next month. And it has been an annual reread for me. So this was my first introduction to the power of mindset, including the subconscious mind, visualization, suggestion, worth, belief. This book literally was so timely because COVID hit the next month and it changed my perspective on everything that was happening and what I had in my control. And so with reading this book annually, my skills have dramatically increased when it comes to mindset. And so my understanding and application has become deeper and deeper with each reading and with all the experience I gain each year. And so I am a true believer, again, follow me on that social media, Instagram or LinkedIn, YouTube, and mindset is everything. When I talk about health, your health is more tied to your mindset than what you eat or how much you exercise. And so again, if you've listened to the show, you've heard me talk about mindset specifically in business and or health, but anyone that wants to level up their game, this is a great book to start, especially in the world of mindset. I can't recommend this book to everybody, quite honestly. My next book, I actually did a couple episodes specifically on what I learned in this book. And I hope you guys are seeing kind of the trend here. It's about reading it, but it's about taking action. I think that there are so many people out there that get lost, right? I'm not judging, but like you have to read and apply. Reading simply won't make it work. It's like wishing or affirmations of like, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, or I want this, or I want that. You have to take the action along with all of the other mindset work that you're doing. So you can see I have action, I have mindset, but it's all about taking the steps forward with what you read. And I can tell you this book, Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. Literally, this book is for all my high achievers out there who also happen to be perfectionists. Any of you? I know I am like nobody's business. And so Michael gives real world examples, theories, and applied knowledge to teach you how to take massive action and then course correct to reach your financial goal, your business goal, your output goal. And so if you are a business, this is a must read book before scaling. He gives absolute, this is a big boy. This is a big book, right? And I can tell you that this one has absolutely changed my perspective when it comes to scaling and the way which we're going to do it. So I love this book. This one, if you could see online, like I have so many, what's it called? Bunny eared pages because it's that good. It's that good. Now, the next book I just recently read, I posted about social media. It has changed my perspective. And it's so great and so timely right now, especially as Chris and I are growing our construction business. Okay, we are about to grow, but we're getting it ready. So this is Traction by Gino Wickman. This one was actually referred by a friend and someone that I highly respect. And so it's literally perfect timing, and I'll share more on that later. But he gives a step-by-step approach to building a great company with intention, clear vision, and leadership. You know, I've worked for some billion-dollar organizations. I was with one organization that was about 200 million when I first joined them. When I left, they were over 2.2 billion. Like I've been through that growth to be able to see it. And I can tell you firsthand, culture, vision, leadership is 100% a game changer on whether it works or doesn't, especially for your team. And so one thing that it's so funny as Chris and I are building our business together is that he introduced, I always like, Chris and I are very different. We have different strengths. That's one of the things that we always talk about is that we have different strengths, which is so cool. I didn't really understand until this book. He put the terms integrator and visionary in front of me. And I was like, oh my gosh, 100% makes sense. But what I love about this book, because I believe that all business owners should read this book, whether you're brand new or you're already operating and maybe you've hit a plateau, is that if you can use this book, Gino gives you a framework to be able to build it with examples, right? So I love that this isn't theoretical, this is action, and he's demonstrating that. But you know, one thing that I'm looking at this is reading this very timely is as we're about to scale, here's the playbook to do it. Previous businesses that we've had, we've built and we've scaled. And then we're like, oh my gosh, plateau, kind of a mess. And we have to come back and fix. Now, because I feel so much more confident because of this framework and what we're doing, we are actually going to build at a much faster pace because we will have that clear vision. We will have that clear plan. And Chris and I have our roles as visionary and integrator. I'm not going to tell you who's who. You'll have to follow along to see there. That being said, I love that book so much. There's a second part to it. It is called Rocket Fuel, where he goes more into the roles of visionary and integrator. And I'm reading that one actually currently right now. So I will share more on that. Now, the last one is, this is something that's really private, and I'm not going to share too much on it. What I will say to you is that for me, almost 2 years now, a constant read for me is the Bible. With social media, with politics, with the news, with keeping up with the Joneses, and everything else that we are literally bombarded with every single day, I find a calming clarity when I keep coming back to the word. Now, when I'm having struggles, when I'm concerned, when I'm worried, I can find my answers here in the Bible. And so this is a book that will never, ever leave my side. And now I said that religion, it's very personal. And yet the more I talk about it and the more that I share, the more I find like-minded individuals that actually want to connect and kind of feel the same way. Not kind of, they feel the same way. And they want to talk about it and they want to share, but it is private. And so I am sharing this. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but like I said, this is something I know I can come back to and find truth. And so I couldn't not put this in my top 6 for so far here in 2023. And it will be in my top 6, my top 10, my top 3 for the rest of my life. So I hope that kind of gives you, I will list all of these books in the notes. You will have links to them. They're actually on my website because I love them so much, but I will have links to them. But I told you in the beginning that I had 2 tips for you when it came to reading that I wanted to share with you. And these are something that I've actually never shared with anybody. And so I find, and you can take it for what it is, but I find when someone I respect recommends a book, I listen, I open up my Amazon account, and I buy the book immediately. Like I told you, a friend referred to me the book Traction. I didn't read it right when I bought it. I think I bought that in May, and I just read it, and it is so timely. So I have found when a book is recommended to me by someone who I respect, take action on it. So you see the trend here when it comes to reading and action. And then the second tip, which I think you heard from 2 books, is that some books I read on repeat every year, and I know I will for the rest of my life. It's not always about reading more and more and more. And I heard this perspective actually from Alex Hormozy, who was $100 million offers, the first book I mentioned, is that it's actually more about the impact and rereading. Because when you have new experiences, when you read something, you have a new perspective on it. So then you typically gain something new that you can apply. And so each time I have read The Magic of Believing, it literally has changed the way that I can handle things with my mindset, because I have new experience and I am always having new experiences. So I always get to get in the reps and get better about it. So those are my 2 tips. If someone recommends you a book, there's a reason. Take action, purchase it. I always recommend the actual physical book versus a Kindle now, because I love the notes and the feeling of it. You're gonna ingest it a little bit quicker. And then those books that hit you, have them on repeat. Don't always look for the new. Look for what you can learn from your past and apply. So I hope that if you know someone that was maybe lost, like I was, and didn't know what action to take, maybe it's a loved one, share this episode with them. Maybe one of these books will help them get to where they need to go. And always, always, always take action. It's not always about reading more. It's about taking action with what you have already gained the knowledge on. Put the knowledge into reps. Reps meaning like working out. Hope you're with me on that. And remember, as always, we are in the business of being healthy. Until next time, I hope that this just sends you off and you have an amazing day.